Thank you, Abigail Reisman, for bringing us right into the middle of 1930s Europe. And thank you for coming in from an incredibly beautiful spring day to contemplate a rather serious subject. My name is Judith Black, and I welcome you to this Yom Hashoah program on behalf of the two co-hosts, Temple Achavat Achim and the Gloucester Meeting House Foundation. The sacred building, constructed in 1806, was the first Universalist church in America. It's now a UU church, and many of you will know that following a tragic fire that ate up the synagogue down the street, this institution housed the synagogue population for many months. This church, it is an enduring American symbol of equality, social justice, and freedom of religion. There couldn't be a more appropriate place for these two organizations to join. The program you're going to hear today was supposed to premiere 2 years ago, and I think you know why it didn't happen. And it's the very same reason that we ask you to wear masks today, for the safety of our entire community. So thank you for doing that. We have so many people to thank for their perseverance in keeping this program alive over these 2 years and bringing it to you today. So we have to thank the events committee of the foundation and the temple, the composers, the musicians, the readers. We also thank very much the donors that commissioned this new piece by Leslie Steinweiss, the series sponsors of the Meeting House Foundation and the Paulson Fund of Temple Achavat Achim. Only their support has made this remembrance possible. Now, the world is looking today at utter horrors going on in Europe. As we remember the Holocaust, let's not forget the genocides from Rwanda to Armenia that have plagued our world. And now the people of Ukraine suffer. Due to the deep meaning of this presentation, we're going to ask that you hold applause until the very end, after a moment of silence at the end of Leslie's piece. To begin our program, I'm going to tell you the first part of a story. Then there'll be an amazing musical interlude, and then I will complete it. It is a first-person story. It is an absolutely true story. It is a Holocaust story. My name, it is Gazelle Hash. And today I live in Brooklyn, New York. And Kenachar, my life here, it's very, very safe. But always, it wasn't like this. I grew up in Pixad, Hungary. There were only 600 Jews there. We were a minority. My family, we did well because my papa, he owned the bus company. So anybody to come in or go out had to pay for a ticket from papa. And then strange things started to happen. They took my papa's business away. Oh, it was so sad. But Mama, she is smart. She said, Emmanuel, start another business. So he began a restaurant. He said, this way, my children, they will never go hungry. But then the government, once it started to turn a profit, they took it too. And that's when Papa, he moved into the downstairs bedroom, and he wouldn't come out. And then there were other things. The girls I used to have lunch with every day, they wouldn't let me sit at their table. And my sister came home from the bakery, Lindsay, and she said even though she was first in line, the baker kept waiting on everyone behind her and wouldn't wait on her. And my little brother's shoulder is beaten up one day, and the men with the paces, some boys burn them off. And I'm going to tell you something very, very embarrassing. I hardly noticed. And do you know why? I was in love. I was in love. I was in love with Mihai, the high school principal. No, he was only 5 years older than me. And once you're a grown-up, 5 years is nothing, right? I was the best student at the school. And as soon as I graduated, we were going to tell my parents and be married. And then one night, Mihai comes to the back door of the house. And my mama answers it, and he asks to speak to me. Oh, he's so tall and thin, and he has long, beautiful fingers. But he's playing nervously with the cuffs of his shirt. Mihai, what's wrong? Casey, I have just been to a meeting of all the town officials. They are going to deport every Jew from Big Sam. Oh, that's silly. They couldn't deport us all. No, Casey, listen. They will. And I have contacted some relatives in the country. And they will keep you hidden and safe. But you have to pack. And you have to come with me right now. Mihai, I couldn't do that. How could I leave my family? I love them, and it's almost Passover. You're being silly. Go. He left much sadder than he had come. But I didn't have time to notice because it was almost Pesach. We had to clean the house and change the dishes and burn the chametz. And then it was Erev Pesach. That's the first night. And we were just almost ready for our Seder when the town crier comes. Attention all Jews, attention all Jews. All Jewish heads of household will come to the town hall for a meeting. Attention all Jews, attention. Papa couldn't go. He couldn't even leave his room. And Mama had to stay with the baby, so I went. I put on my coat. It had that yellow Star of David on it. Now, I'm proud to be a Jew, but I resented having to publicize it like that. But the family was worried. I said, don't worry, I'll be right back. I ran out the door, and I remember all my brothers and sisters with their nose pressed against the glass. I ran down to the town hall. Good yontif, all the papas were there. And then the head of the town council came up. Now, we are so sorry to get you Jews out on your holiday night, but we have good news for you Jews. Soon, you will get the same number of ration stamps as the Christians. I'm passing around paper and pencils, you're getting them now. Just write down the names of everyone in your family and their ages. I got this weird feeling, but I didn't want to be there any longer. And so I did it and ran home. Their noses were still pressed against the glass with steam all around them. It was an amazing Passover. We sang so beautifully. Eliyahu Hanovi. Papa even joined from his room. I'll never forget it. Because it was the last Passover we ever shared together. The next day, the town crier came back. Attention all Jews, attention all Jews. Prepare for relocation to the synagogue. You may bring everything you can carry, including small children, and 1 week's worth of food. Nothing else. Attention all Jews, attention all... That night at dinner, nobody said a word. And when we were clearing the dishes, Mama said, Izzy, now they're taking us from our homes. Don't worry, Mama, it will be... No, if anything happens to me and your papa, you have to promise to take care of the other children. Of course, Mama, but don't worry. My sisters and I, we had such a hard time packing. I mean, thank goodness we shared clothes. so we could have something for every season and be prepared between us. And Chandra, he didn't care about clothes. But the next day we were standing out on the porch already, and the soldier came and told us to get in the line. But Papa didn't want to get out of his rocker. And the soldier said, "Get up, old man, or I'll shoot you." And I threw myself in front of him. I said, "No, don't shoot my Papa." Mama's so smart. She just whispered in his ear, "Manuel, we're just going to the synagogue." Oh. When we got to the synagogue, there was a big fence with barbed wire around it. And when I went in, the benches were gone, the Loshen Kodesh, the eternal light, the Torah, all gone. There was just straw on the floor. "Mama, I have to use the outhouse." Already there were 50 people or more lined up for the 2 outhouses, and there would be 600 of us sharing them. Well, we stayed there for a week, and then they told us we were going to Satmar. I have to tell you, I was excited. Satmar is the big city. And then they led us to the middle of town, and I saw how we were getting there. Words cannot express my humiliation. They were putting us on horse carts. These are just square boxes on wheels with horses leading them. It's how chickens and geese and goats are taken to market. And the whole town was gathered there. The girls I used to have lunch with, and I was the best student in the whole school. And of all of them, no one said a word. We each got into them. And I saw Mechai standing at the edge of the crowd. Our eyes met, and our hearts broke. And the horses started out of town. That is the first part of this story. I'll complete it after you have the opportunity to contemplate, along with Stephen Bates, what prisoners in the camps were thinking, feeling, hoping, in his original composition, Remembrance of Things Past and Future. Stephen. Thank you so much for that journey. As we rode on the horse carts through the countryside, the children would come out and yell, "Look at the pig Jews on the way to market!" And they'd throw cow patties at us. My mama started to cry in my ear. "Do you see? This is a funeral train and we are going to our own deaths." "No, Mama, Mama." A great log on it. After the first day, the water bucket was empty and the toilet bucket was overflowing. And by the second day, the old woman who was next to me, because there was no room to sit, she died. And then on the third day, the train is slowing and pulls into some place and we hear all sorts of commotion. And people say, "What's going on?" And I say, "Lift me up." There's one little window in the cattle car so that the cows should be able to breathe. And two of the men lift me and I look and they say, "So what do you see?" That's bald people with wooden shoes and striped sacks and they're running all over. "Do you think they sent us to the moon?" "Yes, I guess they have." And when the door was slid open, we piled out and they told us to, both younger. And then Mama said, "Gisi, tell him we want to stay together." And so I told Dr. Mengele that. And he pointed to the left. And I heard Mama cry out, "Gisi, take care of the babies!" And I didn't want to be there anymore. And so when another train came in and Dr. Mengele turned around, I ran as fast as I could, and I found my sisters. "Where's Shanda?" "They made him go with the boys." "All right." And then they pushed us into a room with soldiers at both doors, and they told us to take off our clothes. And so I did, but I saw that my sister Mitzi wasn't doing it. "Mitzi, take off your clothes." "No, I won't do it with all." I saw her eyes were closed, and she was unbuttoning her shirt. And then they sent us to the next room where they shaved our heads. Oh my goodness, you had to see my Papa at the time I came home with shorter hair. Papa will have a fit when he sees us. And then to a third room where they took these metal pokers out and they seared numbers into our arms. And then they gave us the wooden cloaks and the striped sacks. And we became the people from the moon. On the way back to where they said we would be sleeping, there was an old woman on a crate. She was toothless, but I had lost track of the days. "Excuse me, grandmother, when is the weekend when we will see our Mama and Papa?"
Do you see that smoke over there? That's your Mama and Papa!
"Don't talk to her." Water with insects in it. And at night, the rats were as hungry as we were. Proud of what I did to get a half of a potato or a crust to share with my sisters. Gedanken is an ancient performance form that's very well known, or was very well known in Eastern Europe. It's Yiddish for thoughts or meditation. Well, that's the spiritual part of it. The technical part is that musicians are called upon to use every skill they have. Abigail composed this piece as a shield of love and hope in the face of horrible events, past and present. In the busy chaos of our daily lives, she wants it to serve as an opportunity to slow down, to listen, and experience the polarity between the mundane activities of our everyday existence and the forces that continue to generate tragedy. The Abigail Reisman Trio. Thank you for that opportunity to look both in and out. So how many of you saw the Jewish Journal of the North Shore this week? Just raise your hands. So you saw the headline, and it was about Yom Hashoah. And they were interviewing survivors between the ages of, I think it was 88 and 95. And the question they asked was, when we're gone, who will light the candle? I'll tell you who will light the candle. Allie Kramer, Hadassah Goldberg, and Emma Quaitman, all from Achavat Achim. They're going to share readings with us now. Ali and Hadassah are going to read from I Never Saw Another Butterfly, children's drawings and poems from Terezin concentration camp, 1940 to 1942. This collection, it was created in a secret art class there at Theresienstadt, taught by an Austrian artist and educator. Unfortunately, most of the young authors died before the camp was liberated. Emma is going to be reading from a book of letters from her great-grandmother, composed from occupied Germany to her daughters in Switzerland. There are few more effective ways to keep the candle lit. Not yet. We are having a technical issue. But isn't that always the way?
Homesick, written by a child. I lived in the ghetto for more than a year, in Terezin, in the Black Town now. I remember my old home so dear, I can love it more than I did, somehow. Ah, home, home. Why did they tear me away? Here the weak die as easy as a feather, and when they die forever. I'd like to go back to my home again. It makes me think of sweet spring flowers. Before, when I used to live at home, it never seemed so dear and fair. I remember now those golden days, but maybe I'll be going there soon again. People walk along the street. You see at once on each you meet that there's ghetto here, a place of evil and of fear. There's little to eat and much to want, where bit by bit it's horror to live. But no one must give up. The world turns and the times change. Yet we all hope the time will come when we'll go home again. Now I know how dear it is, and often I remember it. The Butterfly by Paul Friedman. The very last, so richly, brightly, dazzlingly yellow, perhaps if the sun's tears would sing against a white stone. Such a yellow is carried lightly away up high. It went away, I'm sure, because it wished to kiss the world goodbye. For 7 weeks I've lived in here, penned up inside this ghetto. But I have found my people here. The dandelions call to me, and the white chestnut candles in the court. Only I never saw another butterfly. That butterfly was the last one. Butterflies don't live in here, in the ghetto.
At Terezin by Teddy. When a new child comes, everything seems strange to him. What, on the ground I have to lie? Eat black potatoes? No, not I. I've got to stay. It's dirty here. The floor? Why look, it's dirt, I fear. And I'm supposed to sleep on it? I'll get dirty. Hear the sounds of shouting, cries, and oh, so many flies. Everyone knows flies carry disease. Oh, something bit me. Wasn't that a bedbug? Here in Terezin, life is hell, and when I'll go home again, I can't yet tell. Terezin by Hannes Hachenberg. That bit of filth in dirty walls and all around barbed wire, and 30,000 souls who sleep, who once will wake and once will see their own blood spilt. I was once a little child, 3 years ago, that child who longed for other worlds, but now I am no more a child, for I have learned to hate. I'm a grown-up person now. I've known fear. Bloody words and a dead day then, that's something different than bogeymen. But anyway, I still believe I only sleep today, that I'll wake up a child again and start to laugh and play. I'll go back to childhood sweet like a briar rose, like a bell which wakes us from a dream, like a mother with an ailing child, loves him with aching woman's love. How tragic, then, is youth which lives with enemies, with gallows ropes. How tragic, then, for children on your lap to say, this for the good, that for the bad. Somewhere, far away out there, childhood sweetly sleeps, along that path among the trees. There, over that house, which was once my pride and joy, there my mother gave me birth into this world, so I could weep. In the flame of candle by my bed, I sleep, and once, perhaps, I'll understand that I was such a little thing, as little as the song. These 30,000 souls who sleep among the trees will wake, open an eye, and because they see a lot, they'll fall asleep again.
Letters from my great-grandmother to her daughters. Berlin, April 5th, 1942. My dearest children, actually, Inga, this letter ought to be addressed only to you, because I want to answer the question you had in your last letter, but Marion raised the same problem, so I'll give you both my opinion. It's Easter Monday. I spent the day with Hans Landau, and we talked about all the things that are on my mind, because we share all our troubles. Last evening, we went walking for half an hour, and on the way home, I passed the Russian church. Since it suited my mood, I was under the influence of your letters. I went inside. Once, we went there together. Do you still remember? A child, 10 to 12 years old, was reading the prayers. In the center of the church stood a coffin decorated with flowers, and many people were lighting candles and praying with great devotion. On the way home, these thoughts came to me, and that's what I'm going now to write to you. We all have one God, whether we are Protestant, Catholic, or Jewish, or even if we profess no dogma. When we hear music or enjoy nature, even when we look at the smallest flower, we sense an omnipotence without being able to define exactly where this power resides. It is just there, and we bow before it and believe humbly in it. The oldest religion that recognized this is Judaism, and Christianity built upon its foundations. Therefore, dear Ing, if as you wrote, you found comfort and peace in reading the Psalms, you probably know that the most beautiful of the Psalms were written by David and other men who lived at that time. And in your religion class, you have probably been taught who Jesus was. Marion, you're right in saying that I brought you up so you would become familiar with everything and then make your own choices someday. Because I think that is the best thing parents can do, is to give their children all the information they need. Then, when they are sufficiently mature and have the knowledge, they must choose on the basis of their inner feelings that which will give them the most in return. You must, however, be aware that one can't change one's faith like a shirt. Rather, when you say, I'm going to profess my faith in the Christian religion, then you have to stick to it. As far as disloyalty towards me is concerned, dear Marion, that's not an issue here. Nothing will change between us, for our love has nothing to do with this. It is a completely separate matter. I was born a Jew and would never have committed myself to another religion. You two have a choice, and I will not stand in the way of your doing whatever you want to do, so long as your decision is true and genuine and made not just because you are being swayed momentarily. Search your hearts long and hard, and then choose. I find your question neither naive nor trivial chatter, for I expect that you are now ready to be taken seriously. I am, of course, terribly sorry that I can answer your questions only by letter, but let's be grateful that at least this is possible. Whatever happens, however you decide, I will always love you deeply, and I will, I hope, always understand you. Your mother. August 17th, 1942. My dearest children, I'm too upset to sleep, even though I don't have to be in the office until later. And so, I'm sitting on the balcony. Instead of flowers, beautiful red tomatoes glow in the flower boxes. And if I were hungry, I could eat one right off the vine. They taste wonderfully sweet. Otherwise, my life is full of sad things at the moment. My one consolation is to know that you have a nice home and are happy, healthy, and content. Let me share in your lives and write more often. It is so important to me. I can't imagine that there could be a time when your letters will not reach me, and yet that might already be the case. This time, I know that we will be reunited. We must keep this goal in sight and not lose courage. There are people who have much more than we in a way of superficial things, money, etc., but who, in spite of that, are poor because they don't know that a tiny forget-me-not is much, much more beautiful than a large showy flower. I have never had many material possessions, but I know how infinitely rich I am because I have you and your love, and you have my undying mother's love. Yesterday, Ernest Nam came to see me. Naturally, we spoke only of you. Your pictures are darling, Marion. I'm going to wait until I get yours too, Ingeline, before I have them enlarged. So, send them soon. Now, please sit down and write to Uncle Ernest and congratulate him on his marriage, and include me too. It's 6 a.m. I have to go to the office. With never-ending, deepest love, your Muti.
Thank you very much. I think they're going to keep the candle lit. And Hadassah expressed to me that working on this has really made, and Hadassah's the third young lady over, that working on this has really made her appreciate her life in the here and now. So may we all. And now it is time for the crescendo of our time together. The grip of evil, the endurance of hope. Lyrics, narrative words, and music by Leslie Steinweiss. Please hold your applause at the end for a moment of silence. the liberation of Europe by the Allies in 1945, Hitler perpetrated a campaign of hate and terror against Jews, Gypsies, intellectuals, Russians, Serbs, Poles, the disabled, and homosexuals. Europe was in the grip of evil. Innocent citizens were cast from their homes and deported to ghettos, work camps, death camps, where atrocities against humanity were perpetrated against them. 6 million Jews and millions of other souls were murdered, not for anything they did, but just for who they were.
1933 was not a good year. 34 and 35 were getting worse. By 36 and 7, disbelief and panic prevailed. On November 9th and 10th, 1938. Kristallnacht. Synagogues on fire. Sounds of shattered glass. Sounds of shattered glass. Synagogues on fire. Sounds of shattered glass. Sounds of shattered glass. Sounds of shattered glass. Sounds of shattered glass. Shattered glass. Sounds of shattered glass. Shattered. Sounds of shattered glass. Shattered. Synagogues on fire. Synagogues on fire. Hiding, sitting in terror. For a knock on her door. For a knock on her door. What was that? What was that? A knock or just the cat? Was that a knock on our door? Or just a creak on the floor? A knock on our door. Was that a knock? Was that a knock? Was that a knock? It was a knock. A knock. It was a knock. Thrown in ghettos with no escape. Deportation in ghetto cars
Auschwitz stood Dr. Mengele, directing prisoners, left, right, left. To the right, the path to a work camp. To the left, the unspeakable.
My name is Sarah. I am from Leipzig. My name is Sarah, but I have no name. I have no name. Here I am, known as number 824. My name is David. I'm from Vienna. My name is David, but I have no name. I have no name. Here I am, known as number A19698. Where is my papa? Where is my son? Where is my daughter? What has been done? Here there is no hope. There is no hope. Here there is no life. There is no life. And yet we find hope. And yet we live. We cry without tears. And grieve without prayers. My name is Sarah. My name is
remind us. Keep hope alive.
My name is Sarah. My name is David. We are survivors. What do we do now? Grateful that we are alive. Many more like us survive. But millions upon millions of souls were lost, as if they were candles snuffed out in the night. They were mothers, fathers, and sons and daughters, sisters and brothers. Let them remind us that this happened. Let them remind us that this happened. Let them remind us to always pay close attention, so that this will never happen again. This is a legacy of trust, a gift of love from sacred dust. It's up to us to keep it safe, to speak and act when we must.